Taste of Home is a food truck festival that was supposed to happen in Philadelphia on Sunday, June 20th, Father's Day. An Israeli food truck by the name of MOSHAVA in Philly was supposed to take part in the happy event. However, rumors reached the organizers that the Israeli participation may bring about protesters, and they, for fear of these protests becoming aggressive and threatening the entire event, made a mistake and chose to disinvite the Israeli food truck. Naturally, the decision caused tremendous uproar, and justifiably so. The threat of violence and protest that suppresses the freedom of speech, freedom of association, and freedom of interaction is a bad omen for every organization and every society. These events, especially food events, are supposed to be the great unifiers of humanity, an opportunity for people to come together. And the decision that the organizers took was a wrong one, sending the wrong message to the community. However, there is something here that few people notice, that goes beyond the immediate anger and uproar. And this, my friends, is a teachable moment to address a problem that exists in the Israeli Arab and Israeli Palestinian context, and that is the problem of what we call twinning. Twinning is when you feel you cannot discuss anything Israeli unless you balance it or counter it with something Palestinian. And in this regard, I want to refer to a statement made by one of the organizers of the event. Melvin Powell of Sunflower Philly, one of the groups that organized the event, said at past food truck events, both Israeli and Palestinian food trucks were present. He said an agreement was made in the past that one truck could not be present without the other. This year, the Palestinian truck could not attend, he said. The fact that we couldn't accurately represent both of them is the reason why we canceled the event today, Powell said. And now I want you to take a moment and think about what Powell just said. That you cannot present Israeli food unless you balance it with Palestinian food. Or you have to represent both sides. And the question is, why? What is there to represent? The message we have to send out today and every day is that Israel exists above and beyond the confines of the geopolitical conflict that Israel might have with the Arab world or with the Palestinians or with anyone else. Israel is a tremendous country. It's a beautiful country that has marvelous cultural assets, technological assets, culinary assets. And we should be able to represent and talk about Israel freely, regardless of anything else. If the Palestinians have something to say, let them say it, regardless of Israel. And if Israel has something to say, it should be able to speak up without the notions of let's just try to balance both sides. That is, my friends, the issue of twinning. Twinning is a major threat to Israel's standing and public image. Twinning is a mistake made by people like the organizers of this festival, who seem to think that there is no other way to talk about Israel rather than the Palestinian issue. And this is also a message for us, because if we choose to speak about Israel only in the context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, if we choose always to defend Israel in that context of conflict, then we also are losing the battle. We are playing in the adversary's field rather than in our field. We have to say and speak about Israel and share its amazing and inspirational story with the world, regardless of what's happening with Palestinians or the Arab worlds or anything in general. Israel is an independent story of inspiration that exists above and beyond all of those issues. It is a story that stands on its own two legs, and not just the organizers make that mistake. We, the people who love Israel, sometimes make the same mistake. So let us take this moment, and beyond the clamor and noise of the mistaken decision taken by the organizers of succumbing to the threats of violence and protests, let us use this for ourselves to remember what Israel is and what we owe Israel, which is to share its beauty with the world the way it is. Israel sure deserves it. Lastly, next time we're in Philly, I think now it's a must, and such a pleasant and tasty must, we should visit by MOSHAVA in Philly. Show them some support and enjoy Israel's beauty in our mouth. See you there.